This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic!
What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is October 9th, 2025. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin, what's going on?
Yo, what's up, man? October 9th, another day gone in October, which means we're another day closer to real Magic basketball. Obviously, we got to see some Magic basketball last weekend, but this weekend, 2 more preseason games. Excited about that. But as we're recording this, Jonathan, on Wednesday the 8th, we are 2 weeks away from opening night. 14 days. And so if you're listening to this on Thursday, you're 13 days. Man, we are so close, and I am so excited for that.
What else are you excited about?
Oh, wow. Funny you should ask, Jonathan. If you follow us on social media, or especially on Instagram, we had a big announcement this week. We are partnering with the Posit Group, which if you've ever been on social media in Central Florida at any point in the last couple of years, you've been scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Instagram, and you saw a guy talking about real estate. That's Ken Posick. He's Ken Posick of the Posit Group and Orlando Real. You might have seen him in that platform as well. And so the Posit Group is partnering with us and with the Orlando Magic. They're the official real estate partner of the Orlando Magic this season. And so we're super pumped to be able to be partnering with them this season. Posit Group is your home team on and off the court. They have over 1,700 5-star reviews, and Posit Group agents outsell the competition by 5x. Are you kidding me? So if you need to buy a home or sell a home in Central Florida, you want to go to Posit.com. Again, shout out to the Posit Group. Shout out to Ken and his whole team. They're amazing. We're super pumped to be partnering with them this season.
Yeah, super excited for that. We got to, meet Ken a couple weeks ago when we filmed that little promo. Just an awesome guy. We've gotten so many comments and direct messages of people that have watched his content for the last couple of years. Especially on Instagram and TikTok. So he does a phenomenal job, and we're super excited to have his support and have him kind of like part of our little partner family here. So once again, big shout out to Ken. Super fired up about this partnership. Today's episode, we got to talk with our good friend Jake Chapman, who does the play-by-play for the Orlando Magic Audio Network. Got to talk to him about Jase Richardson, how the team's looking in preseason, some of the things that he's looking out for, and whether or not we should believe the hype about this Orlando Magic team. So be sure to stay tuned. In just a few minutes, we'll get into that conversation. Kev, the Magic did have some transactions this past week. They waived Justin Minaya and signed John L. Davis, and then didn't even feel like 24 hours later, they waived John L. Davis and signed free agent Jalen Crutcher. Just feels like they're trying to use a few of those Exhibit 10 deals to get as many looks at guys as they can. As, again, we talked about it. This next game coming up on Friday against the 76ers might really be like the last opportunity that we get to see those Exhibit 10 guys in live action. And that, the last 2 regular season games preseason games against Miami and against New Orleans should really be like regular season dress rehearsals. So it just feels like, the front office is trying to do their best to get as many looks at different guys as they can before we get basically into the start of the regular season here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting, a little bit. I'm trying to remember. I think the deadline for all those kind of wild transactions is sometime right before the regular season. So this is not the last of these, Exhibit 10 in and out type things, training camp, basically, transactions that we'll see, because we still have, like we just talked about a second ago, almost 2 weeks until the regular season starts. But anyway, yeah, it's always interesting. And like we talked about with the game on Saturday, like some of these guys look pretty good, look the part as far as the role that they have in the league. And so, yeah, I think some of those guys are earning a spot on a roster. Maybe it's the Magic, maybe it's not. But yeah, pretty impressed with some of the guys that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I wouldn't really be all that surprised to see like a guy like Reese Beekman end up on a 2-way or, probably not like a main roster spot or anything like that, but wouldn't surprise me at all to see some of those guys get another look. Kev, we also got episode 2 of The Standard, basically like the Paolo Banchero documentary that he's been releasing on his YouTube channel, which If you're not already subscribed to Paolo Banchero's YouTube channel, head on over to do so right now. He's only got 5.93K subscribers. Those are rookie numbers in this racket. We need to pump those numbers up for Paolo Banchero. So be sure to go to youtube.com/@PaoloBanchero_5, or just go to YouTube and search Paolo Banchero. His YouTube channel will come up. But this second episode, all about really like his offseason in Seattle, signing the big contract extension and getting ready for this season. Cam Beverly, his entire team, obviously they're doing such a great job with this. Like the visuals alone are enough to sit down and watch this. But getting to see Paolo like interact with the people that have helped get him to this point was really, really fun. Kevin, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a guy who, I don't even want to say like remembers his roots. Like he's still rooted there, right? It's one of those things like that's still very much his heart is that community, and obviously his family's still there. You know, he's got I think two younger siblings, you know, that are still in the area, and so obviously that's another reason to be going back there so much. But you know what's always going to come out of this? There's always going to be the worry warts. Right. When you see someone love a city so much, when you see Paolo.
I didn't think we were going to bring this up, but yet here we are.
Oh, I'm bringing it. I'm just look, I'm here to
address the elephant or the mariner in the room.
Yeah, you can't ignore it. I'm just here to calm the people. Yes, Paolo goes home in the summers. Okay. A lot of players do. Yes, Paolo loves where he's from. Okay. A lot of players do. How many times have we also heard Paolo talk about how he wants to win in Orlando? We hear it relatively frequently. Let's not forget when he got that contract extension, which we saw in this episode, by the way, which was great. What did he do? He went straight to his social media and said, you know, let's go win a championship. And, you know, he means Orlando, if you ask me. That's what he means. And so, yeah, I think it's great. I love that he's still connected with his home and he's not, you know, big timed him and gone on to do other things. And so I think it's great. And not just like, oh, I love where I'm from. He's giving back, like that elite camp that he ran there. I mean, that's like the coolest thing. And I can't imagine that experience for him. All that to say, this episode was great. I have been wildly impressed with like the production quality of this. Like it is so well done. It is enjoyable to watch. It's high level stuff. And I can't wait to see, like they said in episode 1 that they've been doing this for 3 years. You know, this goes back to when Paolo was drafted. And so I can't wait to see, like, I'm hoping there's some of these episodes that are from in season. And so we get to see some of the big moments. I think about the playoffs a couple seasons ago and the 50-point game. And even honestly, the injury last season. I want to see, not that that's a good thing, but I want to see kind of the behind the scenes, his reaction to that. So I don't know how much of that is going to be in this series, but I love what I've seen so far in it.
Yeah, you mentioned that moment, like that he took to Instagram shortly after the announcement of the contract extension, like, let's go win a, you know, blank championship. I was hoping that we would see like another vantage point of that, you know, which didn't happen. But like seeing his trainer, who he's been working with since he was 13 or 14 years old, so like 9-10 years at this point, like seeing him get emotional, you know, for Paolo, you know, like you watch a guy like go through like literally growing up in front of you and working with a guy that long. It's got to be like the most rewarding thing ever, like seeing it pay off in like a family, like generational wealth type of way. Just really, really cool. Like I said, Cam Beverly, his team has done such a great job. Just like visually, it's stunning. Like I can't point to another, you know, maybe like you could point to The Last Dance or something crazy like that, but like another like sports documentary that is basically like Paolo's the one funding the entire thing. Like look as good as this does. So if you haven't been able to check out the first couple episodes of that, be sure to do that. I don't exactly know when we're going to see the next one.
I don't know,
but looking forward to that. And then I think I saw something. I haven't had the chance to take a look at it yet, but last year Paolo did that, you know, like entire season long kind of, you know, journal, whatever it was, with Anscaped. And I think I saw Desmond Bain did something pretty recently with Anscaped. So I don't know if that's going to be a season long thing for Desmond, or if that's just going to be a one-off, but they did a great job with Paolo last year as well. So again, haven't checked that out, be sure, go to Paolo's YouTube, subscribe first of all, and then, you know, watch the videos, like, comment, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, pretty short week for us so far, Kev. No basketball since last Saturday. We We don't have a ton of news on that front. But let's go ahead now and get into our conversation with our friend Jake Chapman. And now, Magic fans, we are joined by a very special guest belonging to the Orlando Magic Audio Network, the play-by-play, all 82 this year. Our good buddy, our good friend, Jake Chapman. Jake, how are you, man? Welcome back to the show.
Boys, I'm good. I am getting ready for some actual basketball. We didn't do the Puerto Rico game, so our first broadcast will be on Friday, the preseason game against Philadelphia. And then, 2 weeks, and we'll be getting into it. Ready to go. It's been far too long of an off season. It was a great off season. I got married, all kinds of good stuff. But glad to be with you guys. Glad to be talking hoops, and glad to be this much closer to actual regular season basketball. It's coming.
Absolutely. Congratulations on that, by the way. Big off-season move there. Jake, a little birdie told me that this season, you as the radio play-by-play guy are actually going to be able to go travel to road games this season, which you and the Magic haven't done for the last couple seasons. Is that true? Is that a thing?
That is very true. The birdie was not lying. I find whenever you say a birdie told me, it's going to be the truth. Typically Birdie's got the goods. Yeah, we're hitting the road this season. Look, this is the way we always sort of wanted to do it, but for various reasons, we broadcast the last 3 seasons, the away games off of monitors at Kia Center. There were limitations to that, but I also think it helped me out in a lot of ways. So I choose to kind of focus on the silver linings there. But hitting the road, traveling with the team, all of that good stuff this year. The access, obviously, so much better. The juice, the energy, feeling the away arena and feeling the beauty of Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner shutting up 20,000 people. That is something that I need to lay my eyes and ears and pipes on. So I'm really excited about it. And the timing, I don't think could be better as far as where the basketball team is right now. Like, you certainly want to be as close as possible. And as I mentioned, my home life is something that I don't necessarily want to be away from over the course of the next 6 months, but it is certainly a lot more stable than it's been. Got married over the course of the summer. Got a little 2-year-old running around. So it's good. Everything is good right now in my world, and I'm excited to hit the road for sure.
So quick follow-up to that, then you mentioned you have taken some positives away from that experience. Like, how has that helped you?
Yeah, for sure. Like we call the studio that we broadcast the games from at Kia Center the Juice Box, because it is a small box and you have to summon the juice when you're calling games. And so I think between Tyler Caron, who's no longer with us on the broadcast, but he was producing with me the last 3 years. Brandon Kravitz, who hosts our broadcast, who's in there with us. And then our graduate associates last year was Ben Spector. This year, Chrissy Birdsall. She'll see. We're going to do one last broadcast from the Juice Box. It'll be the preseason game on Friday, not traveling to that one in Philly. You got to summon the juice from somewhere. And so I think I learned how to organically create a sense of urgency, and you're not manufacturing the energy because it's coming from somewhere, but you're pulling it from somewhere where you don't need to when you're in the arena and when you have 20,000 people to sort of steer you. So there was that. I think anybody who learns how to call a game off a monitor, you're going to get better quickly because of the limitations, because you can't see all the referees with every camera angle. You're learning pretty quickly how to use the NBA's companion. It's called Courtside. It's basically a running stat sheet and how to manipulate that and access that, quickly. You got to take 2 tabs open, and that's pretty much everything you have at your disposal. I learned a lot really quickly. I think I wouldn't wish it on a ton of broadcasters. I think it was in some ways a bit of a boot camp. But at the very least, if I can make something entertaining and juicy in a custodian's closet, then I'm pretty sure I can in an away arena.
Jake, I want to take you back. Obviously, so much has happened this offseason, from the Desmond Bain move to the rebrand, so on and so forth. I want to take you back to a summer 2022 evening at Harry Buffalo down there, downtown Orlando. We win the lottery. Strangers are hugging. Beer is flying all over the place. Thinking about now, where you're kind of finally getting back to the place where you're covering a team that should be like relatively in contention, have you thought about just like how simultaneously far away that night feels like, but also how quickly things have happened? Like, have you given yourself any time to think on that?
It's funny that you say that because I've been asked twice in the last week. Dante brought it up too. If I remember where I was when the trade for Desmond Bane happened, and it was Father's Day this spring, but I don't remember that. I remember I grabbed the phone and I texted Dante, but I'm like, I don't remember what room I was in. It's not like the Kennedy assassination. I remember everything about when we won the lottery and that night, and part of it was because you guys put on a kick-ass party, and we were Dante and I were really, really impressed. Like, okay, this is something that feels pretty special. And then it ended up the exclamation point at the end of the night getting the pick. But we were coming out of the pandemic. That was the first time I was near strangers in years, it felt like. And so the release of energy, what you just said, hugging strangers when a year prior I wouldn't have gotten within 6 feet of said strangers, right? All of that, it was definitely a memorable moment. And then, look, I don't know if it would be as memorable if 3 years on Paolo was a bust, right? Like that certainly, it's not the benefit of hindsight necessarily, but looking back, we think about it a lot more fondly because he's so good and because the team is still on an upward trajectory. John, I sort of do the last 5 years. Like, to me, this all started the trade deadline day when Vooch goes to Chicago, right? And Aaron and Evan and that group was jettisoned. And, we've been through a whole lot of experiments. The RJ Hamptons of the world, the Bull Bulls of the world. We've seen a lot of young talent that isn't here anymore. Some young talent that's not in the league anymore. But that's why you have to do it like that, I think. That's why you have to do it all at once. You got to tear it down to the studs. You got to get as many whacks at the tree as possible, because for every one of those misses now, 5 years on, we've got guys like Jalen and Franz and obviously P that you're building around. So, boy, 3 years ago, it feels like a long time ago personally for me, because that was right about the time that I became, about to be a father, and then I got engaged, and then obviously all of the play-by-play stuff on the professional front. But as far as the franchise goes, it was a long time ago. I mean, 3 years, especially in a young player's career, at the beginning of their career, can make a huge difference, and it has.
The Six Man Show is brought to you by Jam Hot Chicken. Jam Hot Chicken is bringing jams, culture, and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park and soon to Winter Garden as well. Very excited about that. For more information about Jam Hot Chicken and about their Winter Garden location that is coming soon, you should follow them on all social media at Jam Hot Chicken, where not only will you get updates about the Winter Garden location, but they post some of the yummiest looking pictures and videos on the internet of their amazing food. And that's why we love Jam Hot Chicken, because they make some of the best chicken in Central Florida, and because they are diehard Magic fans who love this fan community. And so, yeah, you can check out their website, jamhotchickenfl.com, where you can read more about them and check out the menu. And that's where you can use our code SIXTHMAN, SIXTHMAN, to get 10% off your order online. Again, when you order from their website at jamhotchickenfl.com. If you want to go see them in person to pick up that order, you can see them at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square. They're in beautiful Winter Park. Again, big shout out to Jam Hot Chicken for sponsoring the show. When you go visit them, just let them know the Six Man Show sent you.
I can't believe you said yummiest, but here we are.
Hey,
this episode, also brought to you by Jamel Miller, Joshua Beckett, Devo 1980, Mysterious Mosley, and Bobby Skinner. These are some of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons. They went to patreon.com/the Six Man Show, and they joined either our Hall of Fame or elite tier, where you get different levels of benefits, and we give them a special shout out, some of our Hall of Fame and elite tier patrons each and every episode. We also give a special shout out to brand new patrons whenever we have them. So shout out to Lori, who just joined the Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the Discord chat as well. So thanks for your support. Thanks for joining the Patreon. Really, really appreciate that. If you're a fan of the show, a fan of what we do here, you want to help financially support what we do, because we can't do anything without you all. You can head to patreon.com/the Six Man Show. Pick whatever tier works the best for you. And every little bit helps. We really, really appreciate that. So a big thank you to all of our patrons. And now let's go ahead and get back to the episode.
Yeah, you mentioned, what that night could have meant, looking back now, if Paolo was a bust. The other thing I think about a lot is, what if we didn't pick Paolo? There are all these conversations about Jabari Smith Jr., Chet Holmgren. look, both guys have turned out to be fine basketball players and great role players in their given, situations. I don't think any of them could have possibly turned into what Paolo has become as like a number one option of a playoff team and ascending playoff team. So I think about that too, because yeah, the number one pick is great, but if we botched it, we could have been in a very, very different situation right now. And so, yeah, that's also why I think that night is pretty special for all of us.
A million percent. And Kevin, I agree. I think they're both really, really good players. Chet's already got a ring, obviously. Jabari Smith, I think, is very underrated, largely because of where he was drafted. And Paolo. I mean, they're not fronting a team and a good team at that. And so you're right. And it was not as easy a decision as you make it out to be now. We all thought right up until 40 minutes prior to the pick that it was going to be Jabari or Chet, and that included people in-house as well. So
yeah. Looking now at the team that we have in front of us now, thankfully, a good team, a team that should be quite good this season. We are, like you mentioned, got to see them play, what was that, Saturday, I guess, in Puerto Rico against Miami. The talk of the town from that game, Jase Richardson, the rookie out of Michigan State. We got to see him in action for the first time. Impressed a lot of Magic fans. What have you thought of Jase so far? Not just from that performance, but kind of, with your boots on the ground at camp these last couple of weeks. What have you seen from Jase so far?
Yeah, and even just talking to him and hearing him and dealing with him on media day, he's very, very mature and poised for his age. I think at times you just assume, okay, his dad's Jason Richardson, he went to Michigan State, but that's not necessarily the case with everybody. I feel like half the league right now, his dad played professionally. Yeah. And so, you don't take that stuff for granted anymore. He was sort of raised for this, but that doesn't always stick. So I think that's impressive. That the work, or you assume the work ethic is going to accompany the maturity at that young an age. I'll say it again. I mean, if you play for Tom Izzo, I don't care if you play for 4 years or for a couple semesters. It's going to pay dividends. And he had nothing but bright things to say about Jase. You listen to what some of his teammates say. You just see he doesn't necessarily look like a rookie. He carries himself on the floor with a level of maturity as well. If the jumper falls, then fantastic. That's obviously going to be a huge key. There are size limitations there, but he's an explosive athlete. So for me, the big thing this year, and just as far as how quickly is he going to be able to crack the rotation, is going to be his body. Is he getting pushed around defensively? Because then you kind of have to. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is he good enough offensively if he's a complete liability defensively? Can he use his know-how defensively to sort of do some tricks of the trade, play passing lanes and create some value on that end of the floor to overcome some of those defensive limitations or those physical limitations. But I think offensively, you're going to have a player who's ready to contribute almost immediately. He needs to make sure he doesn't turn the ball over, and he needs to figure out a way to not be a complete minus on the defensive end. Look, man, whether he plays on ball or off, in today's NBA, scorers come in all shapes and sizes. If you could fill it up, and even if you're short, if you got some lift on the jumper and you can get it up over 6-7 guys closing out on you, you're going to find your way onto the floor. And Lord knows on this team, if you can knock down open shots, then you're definitely going to find your way onto the floor.
As Kevin mentioned, Jase, last few days, better part of the last week now, going back to Saturday, he's been the talk of the town. We know the headliners, the Paolos, Franz, Jalen, Desmond, those kind of guys. Jake, who or what do you think is not being talked about enough with this team?
All right. Well, two things that getting to lay my eyes on training camp practices has, at the very least, got me excited. One is Anthony Black, and it's my guy. I love Anthony Black, and so I'm a little biased. I'm always going to be looking for good stuff, but he just looks very confident. He looks a little bit more prepared, I think, for an 82-game season as far as his body goes. I think the wheels were spinning even into last season for him. I think we have an idea of, okay, look, you bring Tyus in now. You're not going to be the backup creator. You got that Desmond Bain. You're not going to be the backup creator. You're a connective tissue type of player, and that's what he can be. Whether he's a 1 or a 3 or whatever you want to call him. He's going to be able to defend multiple positions. So call him multiple positions offensively. I think he could be a real X factor. I think obviously with the summer that Tristan had, he could crack the rotation and be a really important piece if he's knocking down threes from the perimeter. I have gotten really, really excited watching Desmond with the starters. It's just everything we talked about and we're hoping to see. I think we're going to see it really early. The one guy I'll talk about that has looked good to me, seems like he's got a fresh outlook, and I don't know if we focused enough on last year because he was so bad offensively, is Wendell. He played 68 games last year, and that's a career high. And him being available for what he does, you guys know it's never going to fully show up with him, the impact that he has. Post defense, setting screens, all the dirty work stuff. We need guys to do that. And Goga's a different type of defensive anchor, I think, as far as rim protection and that stuff goes. But we don't have guys who do what Wendell does anywhere near as well as he does it. And so keeping him on the floor and then getting those offensive numbers up a little bit. He talked about it. I worked on my confidence over the summer. Like, I know I'm a better offensive player than that. I think Wendell is one of these guys who's super intelligent. And then when he misses a couple shots, he's trying to figure out why. And it's like, you're not going to figure it out. Just go. You're good. Just go. So I think with Wendell, if the percentages can just pop up a little bit, I mean, to, even his career averages, as opposed to last year, and he can stay available and keep doing all that dirty work stuff, I think he could be a big key for this team this year.
Jake, you've been around off and on, with the Magic for quite a long time now. I mean, pushing 2 decades, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah.
Something
Correct.
I've had to be careful about this year, this offseason especially, is starting to think back to the 2009-ish Dwight Howard teams, right? Because I was thinking about, like, Dwight went to the finals at age 23. Paolo's going to turn 23 next month. Leading up to that, the season and a half prior, I guess, the Magic acquired a big name, Rashard Lewis, to help kind of round out the roster. This summer, the Magic acquired Desmond Bane to potentially round out the roster. How do you compare those two teams, like talent-wise or even ceiling-wise? Like, is that a fair comparison that Magic fans can start thinking of, or what are your thoughts on that?
It's a good one, man. Dwight came with Jameer, and that was sort of the foundation, and then it was really, okay, you added Hito, JJ, whatever, and then you make the trade for Rashard, and that was what really sort of put it over the top. And you brought in a new coach, and that sort of came out of nowhere. Like, Dwight was a budding star, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody certainly nobody expected the finals run, but I don't even think anybody expected the team to be very good the year prior. I think this has a little bit more of like an organic feel to it. Probably because, I guess the comparison would be Jalen and Franz in the same draft, and then the next year you find your guy. It's just when I think about Jamahl Mosley's role in all of this, I think that's the big difference. Stan came into a pretty already veteran-laden crew. Dwight had like 4 coaches, I think, before Stan, right? I mean, it was Brian's 1 year. He had Johnny Davis and all these guys. That was before I got here. And so I just think the one big difference and the one thing that could make this really special is the fact that Coach Mosley has seen it, all of this from a seedling. I mean, that's pretty cool. And that's pretty rare these days. Most organizations are not patient enough. And I will say, look, I mean, all of a sudden this year, like there's expectations. And if the team falls, below expectations, there's only a couple people who are going to bear the brunt of that stuff. And Coach Mosley certainly is one of those people. He's up for that challenge, to be sure. But I think that's the one big difference I look at is just, but Coach Mosley has built this thing, from the ground up, built this culture. And then I think the players really, when you listen to him, especially guys like Jalen, really reflect that and really play for him because I think they appreciate all of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back. Obviously, like last year, you have Daignault with the Thunder. And then the year before that, like Malone kind of, was at the genesis of the Jokic teams. But like before that, you're right. Like it's just not really something that you get to see a lot. Like guys just usually don't get the opportunity to kind of let it ride, so to speak. And I think it's important that we don't really take all of this for granted, like as fun as it's been. And because 2 years ago was super fun, last year not so fun with all the injuries and stuff like that. So it just shows you like how fickle and like fleeting a lot of this stuff is. So like Magic fans, as you're listening to this, getting ready for the season, be sure to cherish all of this as like three guys who have been through a previous chapter of like the glory days. They do not last forever. You think they will, and then all of a sudden a guy wants to be traded and it blows up in your face. I guess, Jake, this is a not really the best segue, but I'm going to try here anyways. What do you think is still like the biggest question mark for this team if they want to be in those types of conversations?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to take the easy way out, but it's the perimeter shooting. Like, I think no matter what, and health is big. I mean, if you think about, like, okay, I don't expect injuries to whack you around like they did last year, but even still, if Paolo or Franz misses 20 games, that's going to be a big issue. Like, we have a lot on those guys' shoulders, which I don't think, that's not newsy, and most organizations have a lot on their top two players' shoulders. With that said, we still have a very young team, and we still are envisioning bigger roles for a lot of guys, like I mentioned, like AB and Tristan. And in order for those guys to grow at the pace that we want them to, we can't have injuries where they're getting forced into bigger roles. That's kind of what we've seen the last couple of years. It's really difficult, I think, to develop the way that you want to when you've got, your two-way guys in your 8-man rotation, and the guys who are supposed to be coming off the bench in your starting lineup, and all your plans kind of go awry when you deal with injury. So obviously, got to make sure you stay healthy. But I just think with Paolo and Franz, and we talked about this all of last year, but with Paolo and Franz and the way that their games are built and getting to the rack, getting to the mid-range, the way that they like to operate, if Desmond can space the floor better than Kenny could last year, and if we can just sort of upgrade, and I don't mean to put it all on Kenny, if we can, because he was not the only one who shot the ball poorly last year.
Yeah.
If we can just upgrade the spacing and just knock down league average percentage from threes, and it's just going to make a huge difference, and everything is going to function kind of the way that it's designed to offensively. And you really didn't see that almost at all last year. I mean, they had stretches, but with all the starting and stopping injury wise, and then even when you did get healthy, it was almost like you were too far behind the 8 ball. You just never found a rhythm on the offensive end. They've been talking a lot about pace the last 2 weeks. Obviously, if you're a great defensive team, you need to get out and scoot a little bit, and getting threes up before defenses are set is going to be a big key for this group. But you got to be smart with pace. I don't want to try to turn ourselves into the Trae Young Hawks. Like, that's just not. We operate through wings. Like, we'll go at our 6:10 pace, please.
Yeah, sign me up for that for sure.
Yeah.
Jake, if I remember right, you're an Ohio guy, right? Like Cleveland, Ohio State, all that kind of stuff. Cleveland,
Correct.
In the NBA last year, looked like the team to beat. They fizzled out in the playoffs. This year, the conversation, everybody's saying the East is wide open. The East is wide open. How do you feel about that statement? Is Cleveland still the team to beat? And then, obviously, how do you think the Magic could fit in with that Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a huge year for them, and it's been 2 years now that they've come in under expectations. But there's a new coach last year, and okay, they took the league by storm. But I think when you get into the playoffs and you face a team like Indiana that has an identity and knows what they're about, and was able to defend at a really high rate, then you got to, you just kind of have to take those lumps, and whether it was Ty Jerome or whoever, I think they're proof positive that what works in the regular season don't always work come the playoffs. So I think smart of them not to blow things up, not to move off Allen or Garland or whatever. Try to make it work with this group. You make some tweaks, you bring in Lonzo. But yeah, I think they're the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. I really do, largely because New York was probably the other team that jumps to mind. And they did make a coaching change. Like, okay, Mike Brown, and it's not like they're going to do some weird experimental offense with Mike Brown, but like there's still an adjustment period when you go from one head coach to another, even though they may be similar. So I think the Knicks will probably, stub their toes a little bit early on in the year, but those are the two teams that are returning championship contending cores and don't have massive injuries to their all-stars.
Jake, obviously the additions of Joe Prunty, God Sham God, look at the roster moves, Desmond Bain, Tyus Jones. How similar or how much like differently do you think the Magic are going to have in terms of like an offensive play style this year from what you've seen in training camp?
Well, it's a good question. I think they're going to try to utilize more motion style principles, but the offense is going to, and we haven't seen a lot of what we've been able to see in camp has been just kind of getting up and down principle type stuff. But the offense is still going to run through Paolo and Franz. You're still going to run a whole bunch of pick and roll stuff, dribble handoff stuff, try to get, 3s on 2s and 2s on 1s, on one end of the floor. And you're going to try to work inside out, attack the bucket and spray out the shooters. So, I think some of the fundamental stuff isn't going to change very drastically, but ideally, I think, ideally, there isn't as much kind of standing around and watching one of your guys try to break somebody down. I think you're going to try to snap that thing around a little bit quicker. I know that's one thing just based on my naked eye from last year. Like they want to help Paolo help himself. And so when there aren't shooters knocking down shots, it's chicken egg. Is he not spraying out because they're going to miss the damn shot? Or are they missing the damn shot because they're sitting there and getting bored watching? Paolo attacking one-on-one is always going to be a very big fundamental piece of your offense. But I think, getting Paolo moving the ball, setting himself up, setting screens, turning himself into a more varied offensive player rather than, 4 guys spaced watching him at the top of the key. I think they want to figure out different ways to utilize him and just not have him, pounding the air out of the basketball as much.
Yeah. Last question, and we'll leave you with this. Magic fans are kind of dancing between like cautiously optimistic and myself here, like pie in the sky, like it's going to be a magical season. We believe like anything can happen. Where do you find yourself as, here we are about like literally 2 weeks from the start of the regular season?
John. Well, because as Kevin mentioned, I grew up in Cleveland. So I have been predisposed to look on the negative side of things and expect the worst to happen at all times. With that said, Dante and I were like catching ourselves last week. Like I said on the show yesterday, I was like, I didn't want to get over my skis, but I was just watching Dez run with the ones going, oh my God, we're coming. Like this is going to be fun. And I said on the show, I said, Dante, I don't want to get out over my skis. He goes, I am way out over my skis. so
I like it. That's how we ride.
Okay. And you guys, shouts out like we need that kind of, we need those vibes. Dante and I tend to cut the mics off and live in a world of doom and just expect bad things to happen. And we're not good for each other. We text each other. Throw George in the mix. George is always involved as well. This could be really fun. It goes back to what Kevin and I were talking about, or what I was telling Kevin about the Coach Mosley thing. I think that it makes it really special. Jeff, obviously in the front office, like this thing's been building for a while. Good group of guys. You guys know that. I mean, you've been around long enough now. The guys who are really kind of locked in, and the guys who are kind of going through the motions. And it's a really, really good group. I'm pretty stoked. I think it's got very little to do with the rest of the Eastern Conference. I don't care if everybody's healthy. I don't care what, it's a good year to try to make a run for it, but I think it's going to be a couple years that we're trying to make a run for it. And so bring them on, bring Tatum back, bring Halliburton back. Let's get it.
Yeah, bring them all on. Maybe not this season. We'll see how we do this season and then bring them on next season. Just kidding. But Jake, before we let you go, why don't you let everybody know where they can listen to you talk about Magic basketball every single week?
Yeah, Magic Insiders is our daily pod. We're dropping it every day at 3 o'clock, Dante and I. Real quick newsy podcast, 25 minutes, boom, boom. We'll catch you up on whatever's going on. You can get that wherever you get your podcast. You can always follow me on Twitter at Jake Chapman OM. You can follow all of our stuff at OM Audio Network on all of the various social media platforms. You can hear our broadcast on 96.9 The Game. Our first preseason broadcast will be on Friday against Philadelphia, and you can always stream our broadcast if you're outside of the listening area, NBA League Audio Pass or on Sirius XM.
Well, Jake, we always appreciate you taking the time. Look forward to hearing your calls here on the radio. I think you put it best. Like, let's roll. Let's do it.
Thanks, boys.
That was Jake Chapman, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate Jake joining the show. Always good vibes. Always good to talk Magic basketball with him. And didn't do anything to like temper my hope and expectations for this season. If anything, it kind of heightened that. So appreciate Jake taking the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, he mentioned, obviously you can listen to his broadcast locally in Central Florida. If you're out of Central Florida, you can listen to him on NBA League Pass. I don't think maybe a lot of people realize that. If you're not in Central Florida and you're subscribed to League Pass to watch the Magic, you can also listen to local radio broadcasts on League Pass. And so I always encourage that, especially, if you're driving or working or whatever, it's a great alternative. But also this year, there are, what did we say, 9 or 8 or 7? I can't remember how many it is. National exclusive broadcasts this year.
I think it was 9.
I think it was 9. Remember. TV broadcasts, I should say. So look, if you want the local flair, the only way you can get it is with Jake Chapman's broadcast in those 9 games, his radio broadcast. And so I think this is going to be a great year for Jake and for radio, and especially because he's going to be doing all the games on site, being able to travel and get to witness the games up close and personal and not having to squint on a monitor to see what gesture the referee's using to signal whatever call. Like, that's got to be so tough. But yeah, I'm excited for him. It's going to be a great season, and he does a great job. And I know he's a Cleveland guy, but he's a Magic guy now. He's been around long enough. He loves this team, and I know. Obviously, you can tell he's just as excited as we all are for what's about to happen.
And that's the point that I was going to make. It just how good of a job Jake does, and when you think, and I guess I hadn't been actively thinking about it last year, and I'm thinking to last year on my way to that watch party that we had at Stadium Club where we were playing the Celtics, and I was stuck in traffic. I couldn't watch the game, so I listened to Jake on the radio, and to think the amount of energy that he presents on that broadcast, not being in the building, he's going to be able to do an even better job this year, like being in the building and actually being able to feed off that juice, as he put it, and not have to like manufacture it in the juice box there in Kia Center. So really excited for Jake to be able to be on the road, be able to witness those games in person, and just looking forward to hearing him on the call this year, Kev.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for it, and I mean, we're pretty close to it. Like you said, Friday's game, he's going to do that radio broadcast, and you talked about it at the beginning of the show. We didn't have any games to talk about this week. On Monday's show, we'll have 2 games to talk about. It's like we're totally in the thick of it now. Like, no turning back. It's time. Let's go. All
right, that is going to wrap this one up. Once again, a big thank you to Jake Chapman for joining the show. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to the 6-Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the 6th Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 6th Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!